You're listening to the Para House Entertainment Network. Come join us as we take you deep into the fire, to the paranormal realms of hauntings, UFOs, ETs, alien abductions, strange creatures, and the vastness of universal consciousness, as we continue to seek what is not supposed to exist, as we search for the truth that only comes from going into the fire. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Into the Fire. It's going to be a hot night tonight, and we need to have it hot because, boy, let me tell you something. Down here in southern Kentucky and in Tennessee, where Billy is, man, let me tell you something. The wind's blowing and it is chilly, so we're going to have to put an extra log on the fire tonight. And we're doing that with our good friend and wonderful person, Miranda Young. And we'll have Miranda on here in just a second. We're going to say hi to Billy. I haven't seen him in a while. Billy, how you doing, my brother? Can't hear you. You're muted. Let me get you back on here. All right. You going?
You got me?
I got you now. Try it again.
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Good to be back.
Excellent. It's nice to have you back, and it's great to it's always great to have you. I feel like I'm running around naked without you on the show, and I just love it when you're all here. There's a lot of stuff going on. I hope you guys had a great New Year's. We escaped another tornado, so that's always a great thing. And the weather has been so crazy, so weird. The paranormal is upon us, as I call it. Spiritually and everything else, it's going quite weird, wouldn't you say, Billy?
It is. But
yeah. Hey, it's Kentucky and Tennessee, isn't it? You know, it's just kind of weird.
15 minutes, it's probably going to be something different.
Yeah, well, I think these old bones and everything else, I feel a lot more, buddy. Let me tell you.
I think here tomorrow we're going to be in the 50s, but then we've got that cold front coming in Thursday, and they're talking about wintry weather.
Snow.
See what happens.
Yep. Well, we're going to see what happens tonight because guess what? I get to read Miranda Young's bio. And I have read this wonderful special lady's bio so many times on air that tonight I'm going to do it a little bit different because I'm going to do it Into the Fire Bear style. I'm just going to do it from memory because we'll just see how it turns out. And we'll go from there.
And bears immediately jumping into the fire.
Yes, exactly. This lovely lady grew up hearing the old folklore from her granny and just couldn't get enough of it. She grew up, as she grew up, she remembered those old stories and her love for of the history and also of photography. They took her everywhere. She begins to study the paranormal and joins a paranormal team. And after that, she continues while they're going on places. What's Miranda doing? She's got a camera in her hand and she is driving to these wonderful historical places looking for wonderful stories that she heard from long, long ago or trying to find new ones. Then all of a sudden one day, when she's out, I guess she stopped at a restaurant, grabbed a moon pie and an RC, and decided that she'd come up with an idea. And it hit her all of a sudden. It says, hey, why don't I just go ahead and continue sharing my experiences with other people? I think I could do that on a show. And sooner or later, when Miranda sets her mind to anything, it comes to fruition. And Miranda then had Ghost Bikers Exploration. And it is a wonderful show. She's now on her 4th season. So we've got a lot to talk about with her tonight. But, you know, she put all this together. she then is working so hard on that, and then still looking to preserve history. She comes across an interesting place, and she partners up with another paranormal investigator, Doctor Chris Summers, and they find a wonderful place in Huntsville, Tennessee, known as the Scott County Jail, and they decide that this is a wonderful place for them to put part two of the Miranda Young plan into. So they have gone and they have opened this wonderful historical site, saving it. They have done some beautiful things with it, which we're going to talk about tonight. I love our concept and everything else, and I love our special guest tonight very much. She is very deep in my heart, and every time I see her, I just break out in a wonderful smile. And so, everyone, we'd like you to have a big welcome for Miranda Young. Hello, Miranda. How you doing?
Hey, I like your intro, Bear. And now I want a moon pie and an RC.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. But it's something different. So just for you. But you have had such a wonderful time at it, and you're a lot like me. I mean, when I was a kid, I mean, Grandma and Grandpa told some of the best dang stories ever. And then so did the aunt and uncles. They all come over there. They start talking. And here I am up underneath a rocker somewhere, hiding out, listening to all this stuff. And boy, they had some good stories.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the thing, when Dad, my uncles, and all those were down at my grandma's, it's like when they would start sharing those stories, I don't know if they realized that I was sitting there just trying to soak them all in and really listening. I love that. I mean, even when I would notice when my dad would sit there with my grandma, even his dialect would kind of change when he would talk, and they would start
Uh-huh.
talking about all of that. And it just such good times. And then pretty much every Sunday and then every evening, except for usually on Saturdays, I would sit down with my grandma, and on Sundays I would sit down there for about 6 or 7 hours, and we would just sit
Mm-hmm.
and talk and sit on the rocking chairs on the porch. She would always share stories, and it always would turn into, we'd be sitting there, and you would see the leaves on the trees start to kind of flip upside down, and she was like,
Yeah.
"Well, storm's coming in because the
Storm's
leaves
going
are
to
turning."
come in.
Yep, because so it would turn to something that she knew based on, the weather, or a woolly worm would come walking across the porch, and all of a sudden,
Right.
I think we're in for, a rough winter. Look at that, so just
Yeah.
little things like that that I just really, I wish now, going back, that I could just take those moments and really just go back to those specific moments, because I know I was younger at the time, and I really appreciate it more now than I did. But
Mm-hmm.
just such good times, and that's honestly really what got me started in all this. Between that and then my dad, he my dad was a very sentimental and reminiscent guy. And
Uh-huh.
so when I wasn't down there at grandma's, he would take me out on the back roads, sharing different stories about kind of the way the cities and the town used to be, and
Yeah.
what some of these different buildings used to be, and the way things used to be done. So sort of ghosts of the past, if you will.
Right.
And that really gathered my love for doing what I do today.
Yeah, yeah. You had the same kind of childhood, but my childhood was back in the a few more years before yours. but but yeah, that was the way we grew up back then. It
Yeah.
was like Firefox book or
Yes.
whatever. You learned about. Your grandma would tell me, okay, this certain mushroom is this. This is poisonous. This is this, and then she'd say, "Go out and pick a salad," So I,
Yep.
wow, okay,
I always said my grandma was a walking Firefox book, and
yeah,
after she passed, I actually, you can't see it with the lights off, but on the
uh-huh.
shelf behind me, I have her Firefox collection, and
Excellent.
it's just something so special. And she would do the same thing. She walked on a walker in her later years, and she
Hmm.
had a little basket on the end of her walker,
Yeah,
and she would go out to the woods, and she had a pretty good sized pocket knife. She would flip that thing out, and she'd cut her a poke salad bring it
Yep,
back.
exactly.
Yep.
Yep, yep, yep.
Fry up some cornbread in the iron skillet and throw that in and some fried potatoes. Yep,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was
And it's
grandma's.
amazing how that sets your life. You
Yeah.
know, it's so true. It changed mine, and and then he always threw in there was more stories about boogers and haints back then that I could shake a stick at, and I just loved hearing about them. And then we would I don't know if you guys did this, but in the breezeway at night when they all went to sleep, we'd get back in there and we'd be doing things with a flashlight and putting it across your face and trying to scare stuff. And then we even, as light as a feather, as heavy, light as a board, heavy as a feather, or whatever that was. And it's amazing that so much stuff that we do. Uh,
Yes.
and back then they were super religious, but boy, they did some weird stuff.
They did, and that was the thing, and she was very religious, but a lot of the things she did, they were based on the signs, based on,
Exactly.
I mean, she could tell you when the snow was going to fall based on, the dew and the fog, and her and my dad would always talk about, planting the garden and the specific times to do it because of where the signs were in the body,
Yep.
and and so it was kind of this mix of very, very religious, but also, kind of a mountain magic sort of thing,
Exactly.
especially from my grandmother. And then it just seemed like it sort of skipped, I don't want to say skipped a generation, but, I know that my dad and several of my uncles and aunts, they also would follow that. And I wish I had, absorbed more of that myself to, know more of it today because, I mean, it happened. It always happened like she
Oh
said it
yeah.
would. And she would
Yeah.
write it on the calendar. I've found her almanacs and her calendars where they would make notes of those different, things on there. And sure enough, and she would go in and she would put a little note by it if it happened by circling it or whatever. And 9 times out of 10, it always happened like they essentially predicted it would.
Yeah, I got to see that a lot too, and it's always amazing, and it's great. I mean, I have been out the road. I've bumped into you several times. I love to hear you speak. I love to hear you talk about your experiences and everything else, and the story of how Ghost Bikers Exploration got started, and your whole theory about that, and your love for photography. And man, you do have some beautiful pictures. And if anyone ever gets an opportunity to,
Thank you.
you need to have a gallery somewhere just to see Miranda Young's photographs because they are awesome.
I'm actually working
she
on
is a
that.
very talented lady. She's a
Well, thank
talented
you.
lady, and you know what? I knew you were going to have to because it's just something that you share all these wonderful things that you have, and I'm so glad that you do because you're one of those very special people. Uh, so let's talk about Ghost Bikers. I mean, I've had you on and every uh, pre-show from every season, and now we're in the season number 4.
Yes, I
So, I
mean,
mean, where's
while
it
we're
going to go?
exactly. Well, while we're talking about traditions, we've got to say,
Hmm.
you were one of the first podcasts. You were actually my second podcast that I ever did, and
Uh-huh.
you did the podcast the first night that episode 1 of season 1 came out,
Yep.
and we've done that ever since. And of course, with 2021 being a crazy year, we didn't get to do that this
We didn't
year.
get to do that. Yeah, I was
Um,
thinking.
but
Yeah.
we're gonna make up for it now, and we covered, the hall there in season 4. Um,
Yes.
this past season was something that I really enjoyed, and we kind of did something a little different and did a theme. Every location that was covered during season 4 was essentially a haunted home or a haunted house.
Hmm.
And I love investigating homes for that reason because I am a solo investigator, and
Yeah.
whether I'm by myself or with a videographer, those are like the perfect size to cover because you've got a great story that you can really kind of drill into and get a lot of details on, and it's a smaller
Yes.
size, so you're able to, for me, I'm able to really use that time that I'm at the location to cover and do a lot of different stories, or
Hmm.
cover each room doing a lot of different techniques. And so
Yeah.
this particular season I covered the Nickerson Sneed House in Glade Springs, Virginia. I actually covered it twice, doing some different experiments. One was with an investigator, Jake Fife from Fife Paranormal. We investigated there, and then I went back and investigated solo. And then the next one was Octagon Hall, which very special place, and I'm looking forward to talking about that one a little bit more. And then Ma Barker in Ocklawaha, Florida. And so
Yep.
the season finale is still yet to come out because, we were opening the jail and everything. So I didn't get to release it in October. Everything
Hmm.
kind of spread from October to November.
Yep.
And then the season finale is a little more in depth, but it's going to cover a home place as well, and also a live investigation. So hopefully that one is going to be out here mid to late January is what I'm anticipating.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. And folks, if you haven't had an opportunity to get to see Ghost Bikers Exploration, please do so. Miranda, you can tell them where's the best way to where's the best place to see it. I know that you've got Ghost Bikers Exploration.com that they can go to and get everything. But I know that you've got them everywhere else. YouTube. Where's the best place where someone can go back and look at some of the archives and see some of your wonderful work, because they are pieces of art. Actually,
Well,
to me,
thank
they
you.
are.
Thank you. Yes, so people can catch up on all four seasons before the finale comes out, as well as watch lives on the Ghost Biker Exploration Facebook page, Ghost Biker Exploration YouTube channel, and www.ghostbikerexplorations.com, and also on MyMix TV. I believe it's mymix104.1 .com.
Excellent, 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 excellent. So,
And the doctor has thrown up the link for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Sumner. I can
yes,
always
You can
count
always
on
count
her.
on the doc.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, it's been one of those things where I put a lot of thought into how I wanted these episodes to go. And
hmm
my background is in photography and marketing. And so I wanted to make sure that they weren't exceptionally long episodes, try to keep them between 20 and 40 minutes. And each season does release in October every Tuesday night, followed by a live stream on Thursday night that kind of goes in, talks about the techniques, the tools, the location in a little more in depth. So I really wanted to have that kind of separate so that I could spend the time during the episode really talking about the history as well as the investigation. And then within each episode, we really cover the history because, I mean, for me, that's the number one thing. Because if you don't have the history, the haunting doesn't typically make sense, or you may not, you know, really
that's the
know.
whole. That's the whole part about paranormal research. People don't realize it. If you don't like history and you don't like researching, then you really shouldn't be a paranormal investigator, because that's where the story comes from. That's where you find out
Yes,
what's going on in the house.
yes.
Because without that information, you're just as blind as a bat, and you're gonna just go in there and go, "Wow, I got a need me pay. Wow, whoopee!"
Yeah. And a lot of people, there's so many different investigation styles. And a lot of people,
Yeah, there
there's
are
some that like to go in and they don't like to know anything.
anything.
Maybe they're more, more on the metaphysical psychic side, and
Right.
they use that. Myself, I don't always like to know, I don't really like to know the hot spots per se. I really
Mhm.
like to know the history so that I can go in and see if the location can give me answers or responses that kind of validates that history. So I do a lot of research on the front
Yep.
end. I really try to double, if not triple, my time researching as I do investigating. And
Yeah.
so then that way I at least know, at least I'm educated on the history part when I go in, and then I just sort of let the place speak to me as far as the activity and such. Where the
Right.
hotspots and such are.
Right. I always tell people when they get into it, and this is, I always say it's 70% research, research, research. It's 20% fun the night that you go in there and you be able to communicate to them. It's 10%. Oh my God, I got to review this stuff.
Yeah, and especially
Yeah.
when you do it solo or a
Yes.
small team,
Yeah.
it's tough because I always
Mhm.
have, at least 5 different cameras that are static cameras with me. Each of those cameras have audio recorders with them. And
Yep.
so, so if I'm in a location, I think when I was there at Octagon Hall, I was there for, you know, about 8 or 10 hours, I believe,
Yeah.
if not a little longer. And
Yeah.
so then I had 5 cameras and 5 recorders to review for 10 hours each. So
50, 60 hours of, yeah. I
yeah,
mean, and you think about it, and most people go, well, I got to go to work. I'm doing a 40-hour work week. And you're just, that means there's 5 days, and that's 8 hours a day with me in front of this camera.
yeah, and essentially for me, I try to kind of set a goal. I don't always
Mhm.
get to, but if I want to keep on track with my season, I always try to say I'm going to have all the recorders reviewed within 2 weeks, all of the video cameras reviewed within 4,
Yep.
and that way. And then what's hard about it is sometimes you have to say at that point, you just can't get through all the footage because there's been times I've been at locations for a full weekend, and
Mhm.
so that's 48 hours on 5 different cameras. At some point, you've got to say when, and then know that, maybe I'll go back to that footage at some other point and have some kind of behind the scenes or,
Scenes.
yeah, behind
Right.
the static kind of commercial or, excuse me, videos. But, it's just one of those things where it's a challenge, but I enjoy it. And, there's nothing like sitting there and going back, reviewing and capturing those voices or catching that one little thing on video because, it's when you're watching the video, it's like you can't look away because
Mhm.
things happen so quick. And within a blip, you may miss something, but I can still remember the first time I caught that EVP, and I still get the same feeling today when I'm sitting there and listening, and you get that voice that there was no, I'm the only female there, no male, and you capture this male
Right.
intelligent voice, and
Yeah.
I still remember that feeling, and it gets me every time that it happens there. It's just, and that's the adrenaline and the push that gets me to like, okay, here's another 8 hours, I gotta
Right.
watch.
Exactly. Exactly.
Let's see
Exactly.
what we get.
Yeah. And Billy and I do the same thing. We do it a lot. And unfortunately, it's an adrenaline rush to be able to hear it, to be able to see it. We all get happy about it. We just love it. We love what we do. But at the same time, sometimes I get to the point where I'm like going, I really don't want to hear him say that bad thing about me again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
I walk
there
into
are
a
those
house and it's like
times.
going,
Well, people often will say, when I mean, you get used to being told, get out,
yeah,
go.
oh yeah,
You get used to
yeah,
that a lot because that is something that's common. And I'll have people, that will say, oh, well, it wasn't happy with you, was it? And it's like, well, I mean, that's kind of a typical response. Maybe they're typically
it
not happy
is.
with me, but it is, I mean, to get leave, to get go, that sort of thing is
Yeah,
kind of typical. But yeah, I've gone to a few nasty places, and I typically don't go seeking that out, but
yeah.
again, you never know what you're going to get.
You
And
don't know what you're going to get exactly.
yeah, and I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm a true crime junkie, and I'm kind of kind of sort of my one of my things that I really do enjoy. I do enjoy a dark haunting, just
Yeah,
the story behind it, and then also I'm always interested, when I see that some people have captured certain things at a darker location, to
hmm,
where it's like, okay, what is the driver of this at this location? If I know how I typically go in, am I going to get the same type of behavior and that sort of thing in this location, or is it
yeah.
something based on how we go in? So I'm always interested in that, and curious about kind of the darker side. So typically each season I do have an episode that has a location
It's
that
a
has,
little
yeah,
dark.
Willow's Weep was one. The
That- Hold on now.
yeah, last
Okay.
season. Last season we
Yeah.
covered Willow's Weep, and then the
Hmm.
season before that, Revenant Acres, and so which is
Yeah.
was a dark one,
Awesome
and then
one. Yeah.
the residential, the house on Sunset Hill that I've done was my darkest one. So
Uh-huh.
I love going to those and just really checking those out. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
You
because
know, you never know what you're going to get. That's what it is. But when you were talking earlier, it reminds me. I sit in Nottingham Hall quite a lot, and I'm there, and they know me well. And some days, when you're looking at spirits and you're talking about intelligent spirits, which there are several out here. There's
yes,
residential, there's residuals, there's all kinds of different kind of haunts. But the intelligent ones, some days can be very nice, and other days are just like us. We get up, we're a little grumpy, and they go, "Get out,"
yeah,
you know. And the
yeah.
next day, they're like, "On, hi Bear, how you doing?" you know. But
Mhm.
it's just the way that
And
they're
then
feeling
some
or
days
whatever
they're standing
attitude.
around the corner. If you're coming
Yeah.
around with your finger in the peanut butter jar, and
Yeah, that happened to me the other day. I want. That's a funny story.
he
I'm
called me
sitting
up.
there out. Yeah, go ahead and tell it. It's great.
Yeah, he called me up. He says, "You will not believe what just happened. In fact, I had to step out on the porch to smoke a cigar."
And they do
Oh,
those spirits there at Octagon Hall. They do know Bear. They do have a relationship with him, and it's I always love sharing the story of kind of how I met Bear, when
yeah, yeah, it's great.
investigating
Well, the
there.
interesting thing about this one is we're not quite sure who it was.
Yeah, I don't know who it
Oh,
was either. Yeah, yeah.
wow.
I just know that I had the feeling that I was in big trouble because I put my finger in his peanut butter.
He saw. You said he was on the land on the first
Yeah, he's
landing.
up on the landing, and I walked out of out of the audio room that we call what we call the audio
Control
room,
room.
the control room or the master bedroom when people were touring it. But I walked out of that and with a big wad of peanut butter on, on my finger. And I glanced up and I saw this thing and I went, "Whoa, wait a minute." And I looked up again and here's this guy, full body, just as normal as everything could be, looking down at me and just goes poof and disappears. And I went like, "Well, that was cool, but really unsettling."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you didn't recognize that one?
Didn't even fit anything else. But the hall has that ability because there's so many different tragedies, so many different lives that are there, and so many different deaths that have happened throughout the history of the hall that you never, golly, they, 200 spirits in the hall,
Yeah.
easy,
Oh
and I
yeah,
haven't
just
met
on
them
the
all yet.
property alone.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
And
So,
and that's what, I always say about the jail, and of course we'll talk about that in a little bit, but
yeah,
with that long of an existence and that many people cycling through it, you're actually really fortunate if you do get something that is, sort of a continual spirit that you're able to identify, or
right.
that that's kind of, I guess, hanging out there.
Mhm.
It wouldn't be uncommon for somebody to pass through. Plus, I feel like some of these locations, especially like Octagon Hall, and like you folks that are in there and interact with the spirits, you do essentially become a lighthouse in a way. And
Right.
so,
Yeah, it's
if these
true.
spirits know that you are open and communicate, and that this is a location where spirits are, it wouldn't be uncommon, for it to become essentially a lighthouse.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And I agree with that. I've seen that happen in many times, and I think sometimes that lighthouse effect goes into other things that we go to when you go to other locations.
Yeah.
And even some of the locations that we are. I'm always amazed that when you walk in and you've never been to some place and you go in there and you hear spirits talking about you.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know,
I was kind of browsing the chat room here, and I actually saw a question about that, asking if do spirits ever give you their name? And I mean, yeah, we get that. And then it's interesting, like you said, they'll give you your own name,
Right,
before you
exactly.
even either before you introduce yourself or just after. And some of the responses that they give that, I'm always one of the big things that I'm interested in when I go to these locations are trying to find out if the spirit can actually see me, if they can see, and if they respond based on, something that either I'm doing, whether it be, holding up, a number of fingers, or writing something down. I use a whiteboard a lot, and
Right.
so I'll write things on that and see if we can get responses back either through the SB7 or through just straight EVPs.
Peas.
And I feel like when I do that, I'm kind of taking myself, out of it as far as like repeating something that maybe something might repeat back. And it's really interesting when you do find that when they
Oh
say your
yeah.
name, when they repeat a number or say something about the clothes you're wearing. I've been places, and because I mean my logo, it's got the motorcycle bars on it,
Yeah.
and I often get motorcycle and vroom and different type of
Right.
sounds representing a motorcycle. So it's
Hmm.
always really cool when it seems like you go in and it seems like they know you. Well,
Yeah.
in most situations, there's some situations where
Yeah.
let's just
Yeah.
say that there's some situations where it's a little uneasy and a little uncomforting, but um
Right. Yeah.
especially
Yeah. Yeah.
because I know you guys deal with a lot of darker, especially residential type cases, so
Yeah.
that's a whole different ball game.
It's a whole but different ballgame, and it's funny because we always one of the favorite things that we like to do is hold up fingers. How
Mhm.
many can you see us? How many are there? And it's when they give you a number and you count the people that are in that room and you go, wow, that's right.
Yeah.
you know, and then you hold up your hand and you say, how many fingers I got? And they'll say that number. And then the
Mhm.
amazing thing that I love the most, I don't know what it is, but when I close off a ghost box or Billy closes one off or Melvin or anything else, we always say, okay, back away. We're going to count to three. You want to help us? And that
Mhm.
never fails. They go, one, what's next? Two. And they'll go, three. And then, good night. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yep.
That amazes me. I always get a kick out of that. I don't know why. But
I do too. Yeah, because like I
yeah.
said, that's what I always want to know, because I want to know if they can see me. Because
Yeah.
again, when I go into a place, I'm always going in. I always like to take a gift, either whether it be a trigger item or a gift, because essentially I'm going to this spirit's home where they
Right.
reside. So, I always like to approach them in that sense, and so I know a lot of the time they're just as curious or maybe upset or happy, that I'm going there and doing that as I am to be there.
Right.
Um,
Exactly. You're
and
just being respectful, just like you're going to someone's house and saying, "I'm bringing over a cookie,"
exactly,
I'm bringing
exactly,
over a pie, and
exactly.
that's the way you do it, and it goes so far that way. It really
Well,
does.
and it's kind of interesting to me because I've investigated the hall on quite a few occasions, and
Hmm.
this past season was the first time I investigated it by myself,
Yep.
and it was interesting
Takes on a
because
different feeling, doesn't
It does take on a
it
different
does,
feeling, doesn't
it
it?
does.
it? Yeah.
And what I found really interesting about the whole thing is, so I guess it has been about a year ago or 2 years ago. I drew that picture of Octagon Hall,
Yes.
and the night that I came to investigate, the
Yes.
picture fell off the
Off
wall
the
before I
wall.
came into town.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved it. I was like, going, I'm saying, there goes the picture. So,
You know,
and
it's beautiful. It's a beautiful drawing. Um,
Thank you.
but I
it is.
also
It is.
really, really like the one of a certain individual you drew before you even met him.
Yes, yes, that's again, Octagon Hall is it's like no other that I've experienced. I mean, just so many. I don't know. I can't even really explain it just with all the different activity. But you're right, Billy. I had it was the first time I had investigated there, and it was part of a 2-night investigation. It was back when I was with a team, and so on that first night, I had decided that because again, I'm an artist, and so throughout the years when I would investigate, I would be in a location and I would start to kind of feel or sense things when I would be sitting in a room, especially if I was just sitting in there, either listening to white noise. I mean, call it scrying, remote viewing, whatever. But when there's the white noise going, sometimes I can start to sense and see certain things. And it's never full people. It's usually just features. And so on this particular occasion, I thought that I was going to draw what I was seeing. And I went down into the winter kitchen, and I had set up several flashlights, 2K2 meters, and a REM pod. And so I sat down and I really kind of figured I was maybe going to draw a family member or maybe one of the cooks down there. And as I started drawing, I started seeing different features. And so when I would see them, I would ask, okay, um, you know, I'm seeing a beard, or do you have a beard? The K2 meter would just start going like crazy. So I would just start drawing. And typically I'm drawing by candlelight. And again, it's kind of like an automatic writing sort of thing because I
Mhm.
don't know what I'm drawing as I'm doing it. And as I'm drawing this, I couldn't see hair. And so I'm like, okay, do you, are you wearing a hat? Starts lighting up. Okay. And so I'm drawing and I end up drawing this, kind of a floppy hat. And so I'm sitting there thinking, a slave trader maybe, because I know that there was a lot of different people who was on this property, or maybe even a Confederate soldier. And so I saved the drawing. I showed it to Mark, the founder of the team. And so the next day when we came to set up for our second night of investigating there, I'll never forget, Mark comes running in and he's like, Miranda, you've got to come over here and bring your book. And so I took my book, and I mean, my heart hit my stomach when I saw Bear, because I was like, oh my gosh, we got to show you something. And so it was really interesting because I always say I met Bear the day before I met Bear, because the drawing, I mean, everything from the lines on the
Everything.
face, the lines in the beard, and the hat, like the hat you're wearing now. So
Yeah, exactly.
that
Exactly.
that really blew my mind. And because I figured I'm going to draw something, I'm going to go to either Billy Bird, or go to the archives or something and see if I can find a picture that looks like the picture I drew.
Yeah.
And I had also, before I did it, I always sit down and try to have a calming conversation with anyone that's in the room, that telling them what I'm going to do or what I'm going to attempt to do, and say, if you could give me something that I can identify, someone that I can identify either through a picture. I never dreamed that it would be a person who was living. And so
Yeah.
to me, that just tells me that, you really do have such a true connection with these spirits, that they're like, I know who you can identify with. And so, and sure enough, I mean,
Yeah.
that picture blows my mind. And
Yeah, it blew my mind. I love it, and it hangs on my wall over here. I have it on the wall, and it's one of those treasures that I will never forget. And it's amazing because I've got a picture of you and myself, and the painting in front of it, and wow, it's amazing. It's
yeah,
just it's a wonderful piece of psychic art, and that's what I call it. I mean, it's no other way that that was divinely given to you by a spirit, and
yeah, and the
yeah,
fact that it was, that it was communicating through the site, but then
sight, yeah,
also through the tools that was there, showing confirmation.
right,
And because, I mean, like I said, I mean, I had no idea what it was going to look like. I
hmm,
mean, I would just, like I said, I would see things, kind eyes and beard, and
yeah,
those sort of things. And so for it to come out exactly like that, it just, again, just really blew my mind. And
yeah.
but then I feel like by the other drawing, the drawing of the building and it falling before I came to do the investigation,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that
But
they probably definitely Probably
they just,
remembered me.
yeah, they just wanted to say hi. But
Welcome.
yes, exactly. Welcome back. It's just a wonderful time, and and now that you have a place that is a historical site that you are uh, the proprietor of and the caretaker of, you and Chris, Dr. Chris Summer.
Mhm.
And it's a super place, and I just love some of the things you're doing with it. I was looking at some of the inmates' pictures the other day, and I just love that. And it's just a great place. And we want to talk about this
Yes.
fantastic, wonderful place. And I'm going to put it up on here for just 1 second. And this is what it looks like. It's a beautiful building. To me, it's just like going, wow, what a great location. Love the chemtrails in the sky. I had to get that in there. But there is the beautiful and fantastic Scott County Jail. And it has, you have museum tours during the day. You also are allowed paranormal investigations, and you have events and rentals. And
Yes.
anyone looking for that information, you can see it right there. Visit the historical, the historic Scott County Jail, and that's COJAIL.com. And they can find out a lot about it, but they're going to find a lot more about it because I'm going to let you tell about it. And if that wonderful Chris Summers is in there, and if you would like, I would love to have her come in. Billy, you want to send her the link to get in, and if she's available and wants to, we will be more than happy to have her up here with you and talk about your wonderful place that you have just put some wonderful time into and done some wonderful discoveries. And gosh, my hat goes off to you guys because I love it that you've taken this project on and continue this way. So it's
Well,
excellent.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and if Chris is available, yeah, have her hop on. So yeah, it is located in Huntsville, Tennessee, and it is the historic Scott County Jail. This was
Mhm.
just one of those things that really was just kind of a natural fit and a natural progression of things, because my business partner, Dr. Christy Sumner, she she's the founder of Soul Sisters Paranormal. We
Yes.
became best friends through the paranormal, and been best friends for 3 years now. And we had decided a few years ago that, well, actually earlier this year, that we were going to create a business, History Highways and Haunts LLC, which would be a location that would highlight, obviously, the history, the travel, and the spirits and paranormal in these different locations around the country. And so I'm from Scott County, Tennessee, the Robbins area, and so the jail has just always kind of been a part of my life growing up.
Right.
And so the jail was in operation from 1904 until 2008 when it officially shut down. And it had sat vacant from 2008 up until we came on in 2021. In
Mm.
March, we actually approached the town of Huntsville
Yeah.
with a business plan to open up the museum for putting like a true crime museum there on the floors that people can go and visit during the day, but then also open it for paranormal tourism and flashlight tours, public ghost hunts, and such in the evenings for our after dark tours. And
So,
so we approached them in March, and by uh, September, we had gotten everything in place, and so we opened the doors September 4th, and we've been going strong since. This is our 17th week that we've been open. We've had
mhm.
16 different investigators in since we opened, and we've opened up our 2022 schedule through August at this
Excellent.
point, that people can go and investigate and book a tour. They can come in and do general admission. So we've got a lot
Excellent.
of really cool things planned, and it's really been a dream come true because this location from 2008 until 2021, it's sat vacant and abandoned. the mayor of the town of Huntsville, he actually approached Scott County back in 2017, and the county ended up giving it to the town of Huntsville. After they did that, the uh, the town of Huntsville got a tourism grant, and so with that tourism grant, they were able to go in and really paint it up, put windows in, put heating and air in there, so it is climate controlled for investigating during the cold months. So we don't have that concern, and they really fixed it up really nice. And then of course we've come in, and the community has been amazing as far as putting items on donation and loan to us. And so we've actually
Awesome.
got quite a robust crime and punishment museum inside of there as
Excellent.
well.
Excellent. Excellent. I don't save the punishment side. I'll look at the crime stuff, forget the punishment side. And guess what? Thank you, Billy. We have Dr. Christy Sumner in here
Nice.
right now, so we're going to bring her on right now. And boy, now we've got just a great thing, a chat room. I apologize that I haven't been in there and I haven't had a chance to say hi to y'all yet, but it's so great having these people in here. And let's bring Christy Sumner. Hey, Christy, how you doing? It's been a long time.
I'm great. How are y'all tonight?
Doing great.
Couldn't be any better because I got two of my favorite people right down there on the bottom of the screen.
Well,
You know, so
I wasn't
Thanks for
expecting
joining
to come
us.
on. So yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate the invite.
oh, it's our pleasure. It is, and this place, even though that I have not been able to make it out here, the last part of the year would be has been tough, but it's on my bucket list. And I know it's on Billy's and it's on the team's bucket list to be able to come out
We've
there.
heard great things about it.
We sure have. It's been really fantastic. And I think I had Cameron Henson in there too. Have you had Cameron down there? Did Cameron come down to visit you?
Yes, he and his team
Yeah.
came.
Yeah.
Actually came. It was the week after Billy Bird had passed away,
Right.
and because we were talking about that, and they actually had quite an active night there. Most of the teams that have come in um, get some really great activity. I
Yeah.
think there's only been one or two that it's been a little bit quieter for, but we always tell the investigators when they come in, don't discount that. Make sure you always go back and go through your evidence, and if you get something that seems a little odd or maybe insignificant, take note of that, because the jail has been sharing a whole lot of stories and a lot of things that we've been able to do to take and connect with some of the different significant events that have taken place at the
Yeah.
jail itself.
Isn't that wonderful? And he was up investigating the hall last week. And
Hmm.
of course, first thing we talked about was his experience over there at the jail. So,
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and he was thrilled with it, and said
Good.
he told me that I definitely have got to get there. That's so now it's on the top of my bucket list.
Well, I know how you guys, you're so respectful of the history and the locations, and so I'd love to see what you and your team would capture down there.
I would. I'd love to find it too because we are. Yes, we are. But it's not one individual on our team. It's all of us working together to be able to be that way. That's what makes Night Stalker such a special thing. It's nothing special because we have Billy, Father Casey, Melvin, and we all bring something different to the team. We have Tanya, and it becomes it's a family affair every time we go out somewhere, and it's wonderful. And I would love to. Looking forward to be able to come out there and do that really, really soon.
Well,
It's
I
not
mean,
uncommon for us to blow Tech Lord up with evidence.
Yeah, with all kinds of stuff. Yes, Steve. Yeah, yeah. I get to see we get to see him tomorrow. So, yeah,
well, I tell you, I mean, I can't think of anyone that I would rather partner up with and do this venture with than Dr. Sumner. I mean, it's been one of those things that's just been, I really have no words for just how great of an experience it's been to, you know, take this concept and this idea, create a business with it, and then also be able to work to preserve and restore and make this location accessible to the community, whether it be
Yeah.
the general population or the paranormal community. It's been such an awesome thing.
Yeah, likewise. It really has been. It's been a learning experience for us, becoming location owners. But it's interesting because we do have the ability to bring the paranormal aspect into it. So I think we've done a really good job of highlighting the historical narrative for the general public, those that might not be interested in the paranormal. So we have that really highlighted and really exposed to that. But then we also have the paranormal investigators who are in it for, again, what we call the right reasons. And so for us, that it's a really good marriage between the two. And a lot of the times, during the general day tours, we have people that will come back and take a flashlight tour with us or want to investigate with us, just because of the experiences we tell them about. So it really has been a great experience so far. And we're doing some really cool things coming up. So we can't wait for investigators to get in there and really help us with some paranormal research studies that we're going to start undertaking here.
Yeah,
Excellent.
big
Am I
thanks
allowed
again
to
for
talk
thinking
about?
too.
Am I allowed to talk about the one special thing that you're working on, or would you talk about that? You've got like a wonderful little thing hidden out somewhere that you're going to do an experiment with, and I think it's a wonderful idea. So, can we hear about that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, it's something that we've never seen before, and we're really excited about. For paranormal investigators, paranormal research is the driving facet behind what we do. Right? We want to find out if we can get closer to concrete answers rather than just something that's theoretical or something that others would consider very nebulous. And so, for us to be able to undertake this paranormal research study, we're just so thrilled by it. So, what's going to happen is we've got a gentleman who was a former detective with the Scott County Sheriff's Office, and he approached us, and we came up with this idea with him. And there's an item, he has an item or items, we're not even sure which, that was associated with the jail, with an individual, with a crime that involved the death. We know nothing about what the item is. Only he knows what it is. And so he put it in a container, and it will be in the jail. And paranormal investigators, when they book an investigation, can sit and run experiments with this container. So they can't touch it, and they can ask questions. They can use any type of device they want. Only they won't be allowed to record it because we want to keep the bias out. We don't want it
Right.
taken out. So no videotaping of it or audio recordings. So they'll be allowed to sit with it for however long they want. And then they'll write notes. They'll handwrite, notes, what they're feeling, what they see, what they hear, anything on the obelisk, dowsing rods, anything that you want. They're going to put that in a sealed envelope, which we won't have access to. They're going to put it in a locked box. And at the end of this experiment, the detective is going to sit down with us, and we're going to open that box and open the envelopes, and we're going to see if any of the teams were able to pick up on anything related to the items in the box. And so again, we won't know what it is. Nobody else will know what it is. So it's actually true paranormal research to see if the spirits of the location will talk to us and the investigators and tell us what's in that container and what it's related to.
Yeah,
Golly,
and
it's awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be
yeah,
really cool.
that's the only thing we know. Those key points we know. It was involved with two individuals or a couple individuals who are in the jail. It was involved with a murder and a crime that this detective worked on. So the jail people and an actual crime. So um, so the possibilities are endless, but the location has definitely been sharing things. The spirits who are in there have been sharing things with us that we're able to. It's either things that are happening in the moment. It may be the clothes you're wearing, the things that are going on around you, or different significant events that happen there. And I just want to note, I did put there was a question about the tours and the times and such. So I did put a comment over here that's got our hours of operation for our daytime tours. But we're
Excellent.
going to open this experiment up for the paranormal investigators. So if they want to spend their full time investigating, that's fine. Again, we will have some different rules, whether it be no filming, but also, no disclosure of it, just so that
Hmm.
someone can't go back and say, "Oh, well, I asked this and got this information. See what you can do."
Right, right,
Um,
exactly.
so we've got some different rules that we'll talk about coming up, but we do have that, and we are going to open it for people. It's not going to be They're not going to be able, like during the day general business public hours, to be able to investigate. But if someone is maybe a psychic or someone who isn't a member of a team, or maybe they just don't want to book a long investigation, we are going to open up time slots to where you can schedule like an hour long appointment. I think it's going to be
Hmm.
like $100 for an hour, where they can come in and spend that time just working, with that object to see,
And
so we're
seeing what
trying
they
not to
get from
exclude
that.
anybody. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I love it. I love it. It's an excellent idea. Excellent
Well,
idea.
yeah,
You
it's
know.
something different, something unique, something that we haven't heard of before. And to Miranda's point, this jail, I mean, I've been all over the country investigating these locations. This jail to me is probably one of the most intelligent locations, paranormally speaking, that I've been involved with.
Hmm.
Just the responses, the intelligent responses that we've been getting, that paranormal investigators have been getting.
Yeah.
Paranormal investigators have actually gotten words or phrases that to us make no sense when they tell us, but in speaking to jailers or inmates, they make sense, right? Because there's
Yep.
something that is really germane to what they experienced there. So it's,
Hmm.
it's a very interesting jail. There was just for an example, there was an instance where Miranda was in the jail by herself. She was there at
Hmm.
about 3 a.m. A paranormal investigation team had just left. They had left probably about 20 minutes before. And so she was just closing up, and she thought, or she heard a man humming in our back stairwell. And she said it hummed for about 6 seconds, it cleared its throat, and then continued humming. And we have a security camera in our gift shop. And when you
Hmm.
see her come, again, she's the only person in the building. When you see her come back into the gift shop to get her belongings, you hear two EVPs. The first one says, "There she is." And the second one says, "Not so loud next time." And so yeah,
Yeah.
to us, you hear this one say, "Well, there she is," and the second one's like, "Hey, don't hum so loud next time, all right? Because she's
Yeah.
gonna pick up on
Right.
that." So just stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's a cool little place. We've never felt,
Exactly.
yeah, we've never felt threatened by anything there. It's just in our minds there are spirits that really want to communicate and tell their story with us, and it's a fascinating place.
And
Yeah.
it's what's kind of wild too is, we have a lot of newspaper articles up
Yeah.
throughout the wall, and we're working on getting essentially almost all the wall space covered with different articles of different crimes and stories that are significant to the county and the jail. And these spirits, they know what's in these articles. And
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
if you're using an obelisk, an SB7, a portal, any type of device that will speak, um, these spirits, they're reading articles off the wall. They're giving you words that they'll tell you to read them, and then they're giving you words that's in the article before you read it.
That's
There was
excellent.
one about a lady who was murdered in a little town right in our county, called Capitol Hill, and
Hmm.
she was murdered and just be brutally beat. And so the team that was in there kept getting the word news, press release. So they looked up, started reading the article, and they got the word murder, beat, bashed, capital. They got all of that before they were reading it.
Right.
So these spirits, they'll talk about what you're wearing. They'll talk about what's going on. They love, in certain areas, they love religious music.
Mhm.
Hmm.
It's really interesting because you can really tell that the spirits are in there. They're not only intelligent, but they're aware. And so it blows my mind every day, when we're in
Yeah.
there with just some of the things that we're capturing, and
Yeah.
other teams.
Mhm.
As Billy can tell you, and as I can tell you, wait for a little bit, because as it gets going later at night and you're there after a team or after everyone else leaves and you're closing up, you're not going to believe what it feels like.
Yeah.
We don't even have to wait. I mean, there are times we're sitting there at noon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we'll hear footsteps running up ahead or running up above us. We'll hear footsteps on the stairwell. And another interesting thing is the reports of hauntings didn't start after the jail closed. We've had deputies come to us and former jailers and former inmates. They came to us and said, I really don't believe in this stuff, but while this jail was in operation, we heard footsteps. We saw shadow figures. The elevator would run on its own at night. There was one instance where the footsteps were so loud on the back stairway that they thought prisoners or inmates were escaping, and they called an emergency head count. So to have law enforcement officials coming to us saying, these things were happening even before it closed, that to us is extremely telling and compelling.
Oh, it is. It's excellent. Yeah. It's an excellent, and boy, I'm chomping at the bit to get down there and be able to play in your neck of the woods in that building, because it's just a wonderful. sounds wonderful. But
I
will tell you, the more that they get to know you, and the more that there's in there, and you've got a lot of spirits in there, because there's a lot of people that came through that jail. I guarantee over the years that it was there, almost 100, well over 100 years, in fact.
Almost.
And when you're there alone, they love to come and hang around you. It gives you the most creepiest feeling. I mean, when you know that you're sitting there and you're going, okay, I get this feeling. Can you give me a little room to breathe? That's all I want, and they're just like, oh, he's here. Oh, it's awful. Ooh.
Yeah, it's just we do a lot of after dark tours, whether it be history and ghost walks in the town, and then just simple flashlight tours. Usually on our flashlight tours are more of just kind of sharing the history and some of the stories. We do a very small session, kind of showing some of those folks what we do on the public ghost hunts. And then, of course, we have the private ghost hunts. And the flashlight tours have been off the chain lately with activity. We give folks K2s to carry around, and we talk to them about using airplane mode, how to take pictures in the locations. And usually when we're in there and sharing certain stories, the K2s are lighting up. And we have the power turned off in those areas. So it's really interesting, because they're going along, they're hearing these stories. At times it's even like they're laughing at some of the stories we're telling. And then we've had a lot of physical things happen when you get all the way up to maximum security. Everything from running the last flashlight tour that we did last week, we had something run up the stairs. I mean, I thought someone had busted in and was tearing pictures off the wall, but something it ran up the stairs. We had candles in the window, the little battery operated ones you twist. We had throw it out of the window. A guy walked past and something threw it out the window against the bars, and it fell to the ground and shattered. There's one window we can't keep a candle in because it's continually throwing it out of that window. So they really just, a lot of physical things just during the flashlight tours to really kind of show, hey, we're here and we want to be acknowledged. We've got a story to tell. So we're excited about it.
Yeah. And we did have one team. It's on our Facebook page, RKB Paranormal. They were in there, and a picture was actually flung off the wall. This is something that we cannot explain. We tried to debunk it. If you watch the video, they put it in slow motion. If you watch the video, you can see a shadow figure run by before this picture is flung. It went about 4.5 feet. And you can see a shadow arm in slow motion. You can see a shadow arm look like it's pushing it. So it's a very compelling piece of evidence that we can't explain. And so again, to Miranda's point, everything from physical things being moved and thrown to us hearing keys rattling, footsteps, disembodied voices. I always say this is it has a little footprint, but a large paranormal punch. So
Yeah.
we're really excited about it.
Yeah. It sounds like a little place that Billy and I are pretty used to here in Kentucky. But, it's so funny.
I was going to say, have you had the sound of keys and
Mhm.
Yes.
typical running the cup across the bars?
So one of the interesting thing is, and I'm sorry, Miranda, one of the interesting things is all of the cell doors, they're operated by the large skeleton keys, right? And we've got one set, they're the original set. They open all of the cell doors, and glass keys. And there's been numerous times where investigators will come in and say, "Were you down here, jingling those keys?" And we're like, "No." And they say, "We have captured the sound of the keys jingling."
Mm-hmm.
So
In fact, yep.
There you go.
Yeah, that's it.
In
One
fact,
of the reasons I'm asking that is because I know that you have had correctional officers in there,
yes,
that you've had police officers in there,
hmm
and apparently they get pretty good activity.
they do. They do.
Mhm.
The smaller teams, the ones who are in law enforcement or corrections, they seem to trigger kind of a different type of activity. We've had such a wide variety, which I know, the longer we're in there, the more the variety we're going to get. Everything from solo female investigators to all female teams, all male teams, corrections, police, that sort of thing. But the corrections and the police officers seem to get a whole different type of activity. And they also, if the smaller teams, we really try to kind of limit the number because it looks larger than what it is. I mean, it's got quite a bit of space. Unfortunately, being a stone building, it's hard for noise and stuff that it carries.
Right.
So we definitely, the smaller teams, they seem to get a lot more activity than. Plus, I guess it kind of doesn't feel as crowding on the prisoners when they're in there.
Right.
Just the other night when that same flashlight tour where all this was happening, I had actually called Christy after I did the tour. And I was telling her, just about everything that had happened. And I was up on the third floor locking everything up. And I heard keys jingling behind me. I think you even heard it on the speakerphone. It really kind of freaked me out because it was behind me. And it's like, why am I hearing these keys?
Yeah.
So we do hear that a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And back to your point, Billy, it seems that the activity really kind of plays with, and not play in a negative term, but just kind of plays off of the investigators that are there, to Miranda's point. So those that have some type of law enforcement background or corrections background, they get a different type of response than, say, an all-female team or just Miranda and I. And so that's what's really interesting as well. Again, for us, it's never been anything evil, malicious, negative, nothing like that. It's just people that are spirits that are there that want to tell their stories. And we're learning something almost every time a paranormal team goes in there. We're learning something about the jail that we didn't know. So, for example, we had a team go in and they were investigating one of our rooms downstairs, and they had gotten the word anvil. And to us, that's just a word, right? It's just an innocuous word. It's anvil. And so he told Miranda about that. And so we actually, in the course of the history of the jail, there was a prisoner or an inmate that was taken from a mob. And the mob broke into the jail. They grabbed the inmate, they took him out, and they lynched him. And so we have a gentleman that wrote a book about that event. And it's a factual book, but written from a fictional character standpoint. And the character's name, the fictional character telling the story, is a guy named Anvil Clemens. And so when we talked to the author about the reason why he chose that name, it was the fact that when the mob broke into the jail, they beat the jailer so severely that they said it looked like he had been beaten by an anvil. We never knew that story. So the jailer's nickname became Anvil. So we only found that out after the paranormal team had gotten the word anvil. And so that to us is just extremely compelling.
Priceless.
Yeah, from a historical standpoint, that's extremely compelling. And so that's the kind of stuff that this little jail is telling us right now. It is so exciting to be a part of.
What it's telling you is that it's an intelligent haunt.
Yeah,
it is.
right.
It is.
Just the different ways that it reacts to different individuals, whether they be police officers or correctional or just a private team.
Yeah, and what's great is the fact that this book, it had not come out yet whenever this team investigated. The book was still 3 weeks before it came out. We had an early release copy. The nickname Anvil is it's not like something, if you were sitting and doing a deep dive on your research about this location, you're not going to find that. The author is the great grandson of the jailer there. So the jailer's name is out there, but the nickname is not. And so it's one of those things that it's like, wow, there's no way that this team could have pre-researched this, found it. Plus I saw their information that was on their obelisk. I saw the anvil that they had gotten on the obelisk when they pulled their word bank, because that's what we always tell people. We're like, pay attention to the words that you get, because you truly never know just how significant one word could be. And the room that they did get this in was the room where the jailer was beat at. So
Yeah.
And I'd like to address two things real quick. Joe has asked several things here in the chat room. As far as poltergeist activity, we don't think that any of this is poltergeist activity, Joe. It is, again, the spirits reacting to what we're doing. Again, just trying to validate to us that they're there. So the picture being thrown, the candle being knocked off, to us, that is not anything threatening. It's in response to us saying, can you do something? And they're doing it.
Yeah, and poltergeist is a totally different beast too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's more internal. Anyways, what we're experiencing, we do not believe is poltergeist. Yeah.
Yeah. And poltergeist is misunderstood because sometimes it can be, emotions in a home can roll 100% of the way. And as we all know, younger people who are going through certain stages in their life can definitely produce poltergeist activity. And it's very emotional. But, it's same thing at our location or in your location. Yeah, we've seen those pictures come off the wall. I've seen candles thrown across the room, and they're not doing it as I never look at it as malicious or anything like that. They're just bringing up a statement. It's funny because, you were talking about how you've seen pictures thrown up, and I've seen them just like, it looks like somebody take their finger like this and go poof, and they fly up in the air, and then it's like they bat it outside, and it goes another 4 feet out. Mm-hmm. But this pictures, when you pick up a picture and you look at it, it will be this, one was Harriet Stowe, and it was the date of her death. Now, Harriet Stowe has never been in the hall that I know of, but what they wanted to do is they knew that was the date, and it meant something. They were actually showing us, here, this is her birthday, or this is the day she died.
Yeah, and what's interesting,
and that freaks you out.
Yeah, the picture that got thrown off the wall was actually the resignation letter of one of our sheriffs who was arrested there from the jail, did pass away in federal prison for cocaine trafficking. And so it's interesting that was the picture, not necessarily saying it's connected, but that was the picture that was thrown off the wall. And these were corrections officers who were in there that did that. So, I mean, and we've gotten, you're in a jail, so obviously you're not dealing with the nicest of individuals. We've had, in that same area, Dr. Sumner and I captured a disembodied voice. There was a succession of events that happened. We got the word wrong on the obelisk. And so Dr. Sumner started asking, were they wrong about you? What was wrong? And right after that, we caught a male's voice with a heavy Tennessee dialect say, "You girls are going to die." And now
that makes you feel good.
Obviously, we've never, had anything Well, I mean, obviously you could say that's threatening, but we've never had anything hurt us we believe it's more of, again, you're in a jail, and more of a posturing kind of thing, or even one of those where people are, they're not going to kill us or hurt us. It's more of just, what's going on within the situation and where you're at.
Right.
So, we've
and you got to think too that most of the people that were behind bars weren't having a very good day.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. They weren't the happiest people on the earth.
Back to poltergeist, we all know what poltergeist means. It means noisy spirit.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
And it's not what TV has made it out to be.
No.
Right.
And because something may seem more aggressive or assertive in its, in its response of throwing candles, throwing stuff off the wall, that may just be its only form of getting your attention. Right. Or its only form of communication. So even scratches and hair pulls and that sort of thing, which is uncomfortable, it may be the only way that they're able to communicate. It right. doesn't necessarily indicate.
And everybody that's going into this, they're looking for that personal experience.
Yeah.
And if that's what you get, that's how they show themselves to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
it's
not necessarily the bad thing, it's just you get what you get.
Exactly. And like kind of like what Brendan Vesey's saying here in the comments about the photo there at the hall being thrown off the wall. I mean, I didn't take that as an aggressive action toward me that, oh, she's coming, let's turn it up a notch. It was, I really took that as like, okay, it's a personal experience, more of a knowing sort of thing. And that was their form of communicating. I took that to be a really intelligent Miranda, type of communication.
We all know you've been there enough now that they know who you are.
Yeah.
And they look forward to you coming.
Yeah.
And the same
they're saying,
it's and I'm sure, I mean, you're at the jail all the time. They know who you are, they're expecting to see you there,
Yep.
Exactly.
It's amazing. It's amazing how it is. It's almost like
or a good night or anything like that.
Yeah.
Have you had that happen yet?
What was that now?
Like when you first walk in the morning or you're leaving at night, have you ever gotten a hello or good night or anything like that?
Yeah. And and one of the things that we did in the very beginning, because this was a location that had only been investigated by just a couple people before we came in. And again, it's set, closed from 2008 until 2021. And so, we really spent the first probably 2 or 3 weeks after we came in and was cleaning and trying to get everything ready for the museum, rather than going up and investigating and asking them to touch tools and do this and that. We really spent a lot of time going in and explaining to them who we are, what we're trying to do, what our goals are, what we're trying to accomplish with this. And I think that really has paid off, because rather than going in and demanding and asking, we really went in explaining and really putting our intentions out there. And that's something that both Christy and I did for, like I said, quite amount of time leading up to the fact before we even did any active investigating.
Right. And we say it all the time, your intent is everything in this field.
Yeah.
I love your mummy lamp or whatever that is. It looks like a giant Oscar.
Ghost Bikers, Oscar winner.
There you go.
There you go. I can't
put it out there.
Yeah, exactly. Let's do that. Wow, wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, that's my mummy con suit.
Yeah.
And yes, Christy, this is my Groot mug.
Yeah, the root. I love it. And guys, I have to just take one quick break. I always appreciate all the people that tune in and talk in the chat room, and I haven't acknowledged anybody out there tonight. So Bridget, Vicki Norris, Leanne, who else is on here? Sherry, Ada Cox from West Virginia. Thank you for tuning in. Brendan Versie, Holly, Angel Love. That's
Christy
Tawana
and
Bears
Christy.
on here. Yep. Christy and Christie's. And who else we got in here? I saw Chili on here as I was going through here. There's Chili, Greg Chili Childress. And you can see him in February. He's going to be at the hall doing a little ditty up there and having some fun. And Elizabeth Martin, thank you all so much. We appreciate all your things. Beth Allen, there you are. How you doing, baby? It's very nice to see you tonight. It's wonderful to have you all on. If I'm sorry that I haven't gotten any conversations, these ladies have done it all. And if Billy's watching it, and if he's got any questions or anything else,
there was one question, but I'm gonna, before I ask it, I'm gonna go ahead and state I understand there's some things that you can talk about, and there's some things you can't.
Yeah.
Question did come up: will the historic Scott County Jail make a debut on Ghost Biker this year?
Very possible. Very possible.
There you go.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. That's awesome.
I do still have my season finale, so yeah, very, very possible.
I think that might have been Vicki Norris that asked that question earlier tonight. I'm not sure, but there you go, Vicki.
Yeah, that is awesome. That's awesome. Sherry Gibson, thank you again for tuning in. Joe Mazzell, thank you. And it's just great to have you all on. It's kind of like when we have the Fearless ones on, or Jason Page on there, everything else, because it's always like going, well, what's coming up in the near future? Well, we can't tell you. We're so excited about it, but we can't tell you.
The jail I feel like is really about to actually make a great, online debut here pretty soon in and of itself, because, a lot of people, they're doing videos and such, but actually Dr. Sumner and I are, and I hope I'm okay to say this, but we're getting ready to actually start a podcast from there where we'll be featuring and highlighting the jail. This will be a weekly podcast that we're going to be hopefully doing something where, I'm still going to be doing the Ghost Biker Garage, which is going to start this week, which I'll mention here in a minute. But yeah, it's going to be live from the jail, where we talk to different investigators who have been there. We're going to talk about different stories from the jail, have local folks who either worked there, or it's really going to be jail and Scott County focused. And if Christy has anything she wants to add on that, because like I said, I hope it's okay that I put that out there.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Let the cat out of the bag.
It's too late now.
Yeah.
Well, we've mentioned that we were gonna do this. We just hadn't, formally.
Well, I tell you what, y'all are doing some amazing things, and it seems like everything you guys are getting into is turning to gold. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
yes, the deepest congratulations.
Yeah, well, and we couldn't have done it without the support of the paranormal community. So, you guys have really stepped up, help us get the word out that it's open. We've actually had people help us get donations for our museum. When we asked for patches, for law enforcement patches from around the country, we've had a lot of people that have mailed us some patches, law enforcement patches. So thank you so much for that. It really is a great community support that we've received for this, and we just couldn't have done it without everybody. So thank you.
Yeah, and some of the items that's in there, it's just one of those things when we put it out there that what we were looking for, people they stepped up and spoke up, immediately, and so we wouldn't have the museum if it wasn't for the support of the individuals putting items on loan and donating to us for our Crime and Punishment Museum.
Well, you ladies were definitely the right ones for the job.
Well, thank you.
They were. Yes, you were. And another wonderful historic place is saved and will continue to be a legacy, and I hope it's enjoyed by several paranormal investigators for a long, long time, and hopefully it's enjoyed by are by myself and Tanya and Billy and Steve and Philo Casey and Melvin as we make a venture down to Huntsville, Tennessee, to the wonderful Scott County Jail. Ladies, it has been wonderful in here. We got to talk about some other stuff because I just can't let you go right away. Because what about events? I mean, you got some slated events going on there, and I know that you and I've got an event coming up here at a certain place that it's a ways away, but we might as well. I'd love to have you break that right now if you want to.
All right. Let me check my calendar here because I want to make sure I tell the right date.
September 5th.
That's right. Well, I wanted to make sure I didn't say it wrong. So yeah, this has actually been something that's been a few years in the making that we've talked about and just able to do. But I'm going to be able to have an event at Octagon Hall. It's going to be a biker event, and it's going to take place on September 10th. And so we're working out the details of exactly how this is going to be. But if I know some of you have participated in Ghost Biker events, but we also do a haunted Ghost Biker ride. So the plan is to, again, we're trying to figure out the route, but to have a haunted ride that's going to end there at Octagon Hall. With an event there at the hall. So super, super excited about that. But you don't have to ride to be able to come to the event. So just putting that out there. So it's going to be on September 10th. More information coming soon.
Excellent. Fantastic. We are so looking forward to that event. We've been planning it and trying to do that for a long time. And
do you ladies have any road trips planned?
Yeah, what's on your list?
Chris,
well, Soul Sisters Paranormal. We'll be doing some investigations this year for sure. There's several that we're in the works of planning right now. We want to get to possibly the USS North Carolina. We're going to get back up probably the West Virginia State Penitentiary. We want to do that again. Maybe the Blair House. So there's a couple things that we're in the works of planning right now. So yeah, we're really excited about 2022.
Awesome.
Excellent.
And Ghost Biker is going to be, this is going to be season 5, so it's going to be something even more special. Trying to really get more back to basic Ghost Biker, kind of like in the beginning. I've done a lot of commercial locations, but really kind of getting more back to that travel as well as more of the lesser known. So going to hit it really hard with more vlogs, travel vlogs here, and also Ghost Biker Garage, which is a weekly live stream that is at 9 p.m. Eastern time every Thursday night. So that's going to start back up here on January 6th. So you'll have that content as well as some lives. I know I've got an event at St. Albans that's going to be coming up in April. So we'll be doing a live from there. So more live investigations and more sort of back to basic kind of things with what Ghost Biker was originally set up to be. So a lot of traveling in the future for that as well that we're going to be working in with the jail out there. Yeah.
Well, you guys are two of the most respected people in my book. I just adore you both. It's always a pleasure to see you. I love to hear about what you're doing, the work you're doing, and you're doing it right. And I love to hear that, and I love to see you participating in protecting history and having a site and bringing another great opportunity for paranormal investigators to come and really cut their teeth on true paranormal investigations and done by and visiting two of the best people in my book in the paranormal at this time. So
thanks.
Well, thank you, Bear.
And we thank you for having you on tonight. It's such a pleasure. And just again, if you're looking for Ghost Bikers, season number 4, there it is. You can watch tonight. Ghost Bikers I can't talk anymore. Explorations. And there's the wonderful website at www.ghostbikersexplorations.com. And you get all the information on that. And then again, the wonderful Scott County Jail, again in
such a beautiful
Huntsville.
building.
Yeah, it is a beautiful building. I love it. It just it makes my skin crawl. I like going, oh man, that's awesome. and museum tours, paranormal investigations, events and rentals, and so forth. And you can get all that information directly at the historic Scott County, is abbreviated cojail.com, and get there, make a reservation there, and go see two of the most favorite people in the world. Who's doing all the? I guess you're taking hits duty on who's doing all the tours and everything.
So essentially, usually on a daily basis, we're both there. Usually, there may be a day or two a week. Like I said, we're open every day but Tuesday and Wednesday. So during the day, when folks come in to do the daily tours, we have a great audio tour that Dr. Sumner put together. But we are available if somebody wants a guided tour or has a question about the location, or they can just do it at their leisure. As far as the flashlight tours, typically, if we're both in town, usually they get both of us to lead that, and the ghost hunts as well. We kind of have those. If it's a public ghost hunt, we have those billed as you'll either get Ghost Biker or Soul Sisters, just because we're traveling. But on some occasions, you'll get to ghost hunt with both of us. And then as far as the private paranormal investigations, obviously we do have to have someone on site per our lease, but we are on site but out of sight. We lock ourselves in a room, you don't even know we're there. So yeah, you may get both of us when you come do a tour.
Well, excellent, fantastic. Anything else you'd like to hit? Give me the opportunity right now before we close it up. Again, thank you, chat room. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for tuning in and supporting us. We love you to pieces, and we love these ladies right here. So I ask that you please support their ventures that they're doing, because follow Soul Sisters Paranormal, follow Miranda Young's Ghost Biker Exploration, follow that wonderful new haunt that is out there, Scott County Jail, and you're going to have a great time. And I'm so glad that you guys are doing it. Any special goodbyes or anything else you want to do?
Well, again, I just want to thank you guys so much for having me on. It's always great, especially after, all the storms and tornadoes and everything that's been going on in all our areas. It's great to see you guys, and great to be able to interact with everyone here in the chat room. So, thank you for taking the time to have me on, and thank you all in the chat room for taking the time to be, so supportive, and, coming on and conversating with us here. Definitely go on to the Ghost Biker Explorations Facebook page, Ghost Biker Explorations YouTube channel, and www.ghostbikerexplorations.com, and tune into that Thursday night live stream that I've got going on. Watch out for the season 4 finale, and check both of us out on the historic Scott County Jail Facebook page, and www.historicscottcojail.com, and be on the lookout for that podcast and different events we've got going on.
Fantastic.
And
Doc?
Sumner.
Thanks for having us on, and again, thank you for everybody in the chat room and everybody's support in the paranormal community. We greatly appreciate it.
Excellent. And Billy, any closing words?
All I got to say is Happy New Year, everybody. Let's do
Happy
this
New
one
Year.
better than the last one.
Yeah, let's let 2022 be a lot better than 2020, and way better than 2021.
Let's
make it happen. Make it happen. And God bless you all. And again, we look forward to seeing you next week, same time, same bat channel, at the as Into the Fire comes to you next week, as we do show number 3 in our 5th season. So we look forward to seeing you then, and to all a good night.
Good night.
Having a little bit of a problem with my darn thing here.